And I was debating on whether or not to just do an update or just do a live. And I was sitting here and I said, I got time to do this. I don't know how long it's going to be, but nonetheless, I wanted to do a live here to get us all on track on what I think is happening. Um, a lot of key points we can look at for XRP. Still very much within a very bullish structure. And it's coiling up for, like I said in the title, XRP continues coiling up for an unprecedented move to $5. That doesn't mean there can't be bumps in the road, but that's where I firmly believe we're heading. At some point, before this bull market even started, we had it set up for 549, but top end of $6.39. I've seen nothing that suggests to me that that's not going to happen. The only question we have is, as long as we stay above $2.80, we don't have to worry about anything much worse, which means that we're within the 10% of, even the worst case scenario if this pattern holds. So, I mean, you're talking about a 10% range here. That's actually pretty awesome. And then if you were to bounce outside of here, you've got about a 7% upside that you've got to get past around, well, maybe not even 7% now. I don't even know if it is 10% actually. Now that I think about it, we're plus $3. What I'm thinking of in my head for some reason is the $2 scale. Probably because XRP we haven't been above $3 for long since in the 5 years we've covered XRP, or 4 years plus. I want to just see what this is. Yeah, see, that's not even that bad. It's like 7%. 6.7%. So 7%. So it's only 7% downside there. As long as this pattern holds. Yeah, because I did that for a reason and set it up like that. And then the other one, it's just different charts. That's when we break down a little bit, but these are all for different measurements, for different reasons. That's for more of the wick off. Yeah, I mean, there's not, as long as we stay above this, there is not, and this is just because it's on a different chart and the way it's set up is slightly different with numbers. But this would be the more, hey, we've got the immediate $3.08 to get to that 314, which is why I kept that on there. But in the grand scale, I still like this one better for the setup because it shows you the move before this. And it's almost like we're emulating the prior breakout. And the only reason I have it in the 4-hourly, it's easier to see the smaller scale. I mean, we're almost emulating that move now on the cup and handle. But yeah, so if you're looking at this, the point is here real quick before I move on, and I'm trying to give you a little bit of a deeper look, but the point is on this, and it's still an inverse head and shoulders here, it looks like. But this pattern as a whole, you're making lower highs and higher lows. Like, this is tailor-made. As long as we don't make a lower low, this is tailor-made. Like, this would get us up to 389 just out of this formation here alone. It would be pushing, which is pretty nice, actually. Because once you get above 389, now all of a sudden you made an all-time high on every exchange. Because 385 is technically not falling on some exchanges. So technically, that would be a big moment here for XRP. A big moment. I'm going to stop talking less about, hey, what this can mean for us and where we bought it, and more about what we can look forward to going forward. When we hit certain milestones, we'll talk about certain amounts that we've achieved from where we bought in. But I think less focus on the actual positions and more focus on where we can go. I don't care. I don't think anybody else cares exactly how much each and every one of us hold. Instead, I think we care more about where we can go as a collective from here and what levels we can reach, in a realistic fashion. I've heard people say, oh, we're going to $100 at the end of the year. If we go to $100 at the end of the year, I may start shitting out gold just as a reference point. Just that's the reality here. So, good morning. 10:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. I'm XRP future millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Just another line that I'm going to watch back and be like, How did that sentence even form? I don't know. I don't know how these sentences form. Let me go in and say hi to everybody. Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Crazy Pulling a Ricci, welcome in, and I appreciate you being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Defined, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3 months plus with the XRP Meteor. Also a very trusted mod in here. Very dedicated in the Telegram as an admin. And he's been helping me with an idea I have. And I'll evolve on it in a little bit. But I don't want to talk about it right now. He says, hey everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider joining the army and subscribing. If you're not in the Telegram, you're missing out. You sure are. You sure are. There's so many things that are going to happen. In fact, if you're in the Telegram, you're going to end up being part of something that you'll be able to actually, and this it's something that we'll talk about later, but it's also a good reference to get your interest up. If you're in the Telegram, you'll be able to live call in at some time in the near future. So just call it like an in the moment within YouTube restrictions, obviously, with what we can talk about. But let's talk about, we're trying to create abundance for all. It's going to be nice when we add in the phone-in part of this program that I've been working on for 3.5 years, but had to build the audience to a big enough standpoint. Anthony Venegas, welcome in. Miss G. Scott, good morning, along with Cowabunga. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. How cool is that? Mark Caston, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by, with the I told you so badge, along with Wales, Josie Wales. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year now. Unbelievable support. Chance Williams, good morning. Crypto Cooter, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod and here along with Nick Morales. And both of you are also very trusted mods in the Telegram as well, as the Telegram's over 470 people now, which is awesome. And Crypto Cooter, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Mosey here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. Ben Graham, good morning, friend. Let's see, Big Dog, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Have you ever heard of the DIA token? I don't know, because DIA gets stuck in my head because we have the Detroit Institute of Arts. That's popular around, not too far from where I live. So I don't know if the DIA is in my head because of that or because of a token, but I don't know. So I'll say I plead the fifth, aside from what I've already said. Sean and Deb Wilson, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, along with G. Stott. Mr. and Mrs. G. Stott are here. That is really cool. And we have Sean and Deb Wilson also here. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson and Mr. and Mrs. Stott. Both couples. I love it. I love it. There's so many people that are watching now with their families. It's pretty cool. We've definitely went in a good direction here. Scotty Trades, welcome in. Syrian, good morning, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. And also in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. It's amazing how fast time goes. It's like yesterday. I remember when you joined Tom's Army and then you became it just seems like yesterday. Actually, it might have been a mod before. I don't know. It was right around the same time. Joseph Euler, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with the Cannabis Podcast. And guys and gals, if you're watching, go to the Cannabis Podcast channel and take a look at his stuff that he's updated, because there is possibilities of decriminalization with cannabis countrywide and also being flipped from a Schedule 1 drug in the USA. So he's got a lot of information on that. He did a good job. Let's just say he did a good job. But you can go look for more if you want. Hope you're all excited for all the communication that just went out regarding that exclusive live calling feature. Have your voices heard? Yes, I am very excited about that, Defined. I am. I'm excited about that. Scotty Trade, super probable of getting as low as 235. I don't know if I would stop there if we fell out, because this pattern, it suggests if it were to fall out, we could back test a previous breakout at $1.92. Well, it's actually a little bit higher, because I would say we'd come out like, oh, I guess not. Never mind. $1.92. But that, I mean, that's where it could be. Crypto Plumber 589, welcome in and thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. G Stott said that sounds cool. I'm glad you like the idea. I'm glad you like the idea. Let's see. Gray Paul, good morning. David Hoff, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Hi, Tom. The golden turd, says Gray Paw. Yes. It's so true. That's so funny. Good reference point to something I said a little while, not too long ago, but it's funny that you say it like that. That's the way I should have said it. Lori Watson, welcome in. Long wait, hope it's worth it. It'll always be worth it. What's worth waiting for is much more worth it. Anything that can happen in the short term is not going to have as much of a reward as what takes you more time and it's dedicated for the long term. So if it's easy to do now, it's not going to be worth it later. If it's hard to do now, it's going to be so rewarding later. That's the way I look at things. Short-term gratification can sometimes lead to missing long-term, long-term, permanent, trajectory changes, I guess is the best way to say it. Tanya, welcome in, love, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. I love it. Thank you, Tanya, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Vado Damas, welcome in, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge along with CJ2 Pilot. Robert Montoya, good morning. Brighton, welcome in. B Southtown, good morning. Jesse, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army second month with Dust Out Crypto News. Let's see. Yeah, Syrian, I made a comment. I made a comment a little while ago. Brighton, is the XRP multiplier a real thing or BS? Well, I'm not going to say it's BS, but if I told you that before I started this show, I teleported to Pluto, took a trip around town to Mars, took a steep drop into Neptune to do a fishing trip before I ended up here to do this live, that's about how much of a reality the XRP multiplier is, in my opinion. So I'll let you come to a conclusion. I'm not going to say yes or no. Remember, this is not, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I trying to be one. This is for entertainment purposes only. So, but I do show you exactly what I think is going to happen. I have a proven track record, and all you have to do is go back and look at the history. Oh yeah, and I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021, and I've not missed a day. So, there's that too. There's that for integrity and dedication. Let's see. Lucky guy, welcome in. Here, let's see. I think I got, Delvin, welcome in, my friend. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for over, holy crap, how long have you been in? 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. And a very trusted mod for some time now. And I don't know what's going on the YouTube channel. The last 3 days, I've had over 100 people subscribe to the channel on each day. So we're stuck at 45,200. I had 275 subscribers the whole month of August. And now all of a sudden, the last 3 days, I've had like 350 fucking people subscribe to the channel. I don't know what's going on. It's been a nice little boost because we were stuck for a minute. It happens in bursts like that. I'm not sure. Oh, I missed Uranus. You know what? For the shitting gold purposes, I probably should have said Uranus. And you better believe I stopped at Uranus when those gold bars were flowing through. I should have. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's all cow. Yeah, like G Stott said, it's all cow shit. You know what it is? It's to get you to view. Why would the multiplier stop at XRP? Like, I don't even understand the multiplier. Like, are we in the casino? Are we playing Keno? Like, is this what we have to tell ourselves to think how now we got to do multipliers for it to get there? No. I'm not talking like maybe if their multiplier is leverage, and I don't know. This doesn't even make sense to me. Let's see. But hold on. I'm gonna get to this. I've tried to say hi to everybody, but people keep coming in. Bob Burtner, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Ben being crazy, Paul, I really appreciate 6+ months in the Tom's Army with the XRP predictors. Mr. Popcorn Bud, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty House Crypto News. Labor Day is coming. You should take a day off. No, I cannot take a day off. There's a reason I have to do this every single day forever. There's a reason. Once you miss a day, then you miss a 2nd day. Remember that. Once, especially when you're in a streak, once you miss a streak, it's over. Nothing can change it. Nothing can change in it. Nothing. But there's a reason I like to do this. There's a reason I like to do this. For myself, yes, for one, because it keeps me in the loop. But 2, I really like to be dedicated with everybody. So a day missed of opportunity is a day that you don't know what you're going to miss in one of the days. You don't. So if you weren't here today, you've never seen me probably ever mention this. I might have vaguely mentioned it in the last couple of lives. I mean vaguely. But you probably haven't seen me talk about this at all. And I don't know when the time's going to be. It's close. And the funny thing is they work with coal, and that's what's killing them right now. But something tells me coal's probably going to have more of a resurgence at some point. But I'm trying to figure out if this is going to come all the way back down here. So I'm going to ask for input as I go through if we do get to this. Because I think this is going to end up being one that's it's a slow sleeper. They're starting to gain more royalties out of the oil and gas exploration side of things, and it's starting to write the books in a good way. And I don't know, that a 10% plus dividend, they don't historically pay that high, but they're paying you to kind of roll with them. And it kind of reminds me of Petrobras. There was an oil in Brazil, but it was government run. At one point, they were offering like 40-something%. I remember, and then it went down to 30 and 20 and 18, and now it's stuck at like 3 to 5. But they legitimately were paying you to sit through this hellish period. And I feel like that's where this company's at, and it's expanding. And I think that's one of the sleepers that at some point it's going to reverse. I don't know confluently where it's going to be at, but that's one that I've been watching for 3 months, and I've been excited about it. And it's dumped down now from 28 just a couple months ago, and now it's down towards 22.79. The question is it going to get to 19? Is it going to get to 9 or 10? I don't know. I know it put in an inverse pattern. I just don't know where it goes from there yet. But as I break it down more and more, the more I see, the more I like. And I like hiding out in dividend-paying stocks, especially heavy-paying dividend ones that are undervalued. And, coal might not be as big in the USA, but in China, I'm looking at the coal companies in China, because if the USA tapers off a bit with coal like they've been stupidly doing, we're going to have to get it from somewhere. And China's been secretly building coal factories and coal mining, adding more miners to the coal sector because they're producing more and more coal factories, so they've got to get them coal. So that's something that doesn't get talked about in the USA, but they're going deeper and deeper. Look at China for coal and Japan. They're going heavy in coal, as we're going heavy in this bullshit technology. Hey, let's go into EV. Oh, okay. Let's use this crap, because that works well. But everybody wants to, hey, it's good for the environment. I'm sorry, but one thing that even if it was, why do the cars turn on and off? Like, my car doesn't do that because not with Julie's, because I'm not dealing with that. But how is that better? Or if it was really about, like, I always look at this stuff because a lot of stuff we get taxed more because it's in the name of the good, because we want the environment to succeed. But while we're over here pissing out pennies and, losing out on all this stuff with emissions and all this other crap, they're flying a jet that puts out more than you could ever. Anyhow, that's going off topic. JW's sitting there ripping his hair out right now saying, are you out of your... Anyhow. I can just see him right now. About to be carried out in a straitjacket if I keep talking. Not me, JW will be. He's gonna go insane. But anyhow, Bitcoin, we just want to get outside of here. Like, the one thing we want to do right now is invalidate this pattern. And that's why I keep harping on that 117 level. Just because we got to get out of it. Because if this did break down in theory, if this actually was some kind of rising wedge, it would be interesting. There's no doubt about it. If Bitcoin came to 81,500, I could see the groundwork being laid for XRP to come sub $2 if that scenario happened. But outside of that, I don't even know if that would be enough, because if the money flowed out of Bitcoin and then it simultaneously flowed into Ethereum, I got to clean these up. I know there's a lot of evidence out here from past shit, but I got to clean this. I can't take it no more. There's too much stuff. I'm sure we all remember. I mean, I can just keep saying the numbers, but too much stuff. That's what ends up happening. I have so much stuff on here from like years and years, and then all of a sudden I get a moment like this. I'm like, it's all going to bye-bye. And I don't want to deal with it. Too many lines, too many numbers, too many dots, too many connections, too many blah, blah, blahs. Nope. And then it just takes a second. But anyhow, there's a lot we have to look at here in the micro. But the macro, I feel like the macro is pretty set. It's just a matter of how do we get there is the only question I have. So, what was I trying to do here? Oh, yeah. I remember this. This was scenario, well, you know, Bitcoin is actually creating, or Ethereum's creating some kind of wedge. And it broke down, and then we had to try to find some stopping measure if it actually came down. And we're trying to... I always try to figure out why something can do something. You know, I always try to figure out why something could do something. And if I look at it, that's why something could do something. If it was like in an expanding, like in a... I guess you could say it's a broadening wedge. But it is a wedge nonetheless. I don't know if that's necessarily what it's doing, because that's why I put this here as well, because I could see it just doing this. But then I'm like, well, if it breaks out, we're in good shape. Like, real good shape. Because if it breaks out, we're coming up here in the immediate short term. Man, would that be nice? I'm like, well, just in case we break down, where would we go? Then I started looking at it. I'm like, well, what makes sense here? And then I started building it out. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So we know a top side and bottom side. So now that you know both, it's like you can follow the trajectory now. So now we already know. Regardless of what it does, you've already set up the short. Just the short setup. And then if it goes horribly wrong, what it could build into, and in theory, because this could technically go all the way out until the end of September just to get right here. The pattern, you could pull this down in a downtrending fashion as well. And then we look at this. I want to give it credit for this wick right here, which I like that. That's why I did that. I almost went farther out, but because of that wick, I didn't. The only problem is it doesn't give you as much room to work to the downside. By using this wick, instead of using this as second point, now you've got 1, 2, 3 separate areas with a lot of volatility here where it's been bouncing around. So we're kind of stuck within this. And it's always hard with these. Are these rising triangles or rising wedges? You know, like, that's the question I always have to ask me. Like, what is it? And it's almost up for like a point of, it's like a debate, because a wedge and although because it does look like a rising triangle, and that would be good. That would mean our downside would be 4,489, even if it came down, and well, unless it came down in a hurry, then I suppose it's 4,450. But these are the fun debates, because right now it looks like it created a V shape off the support. Looks like it created a left shoulder, a sneaky right shoulder. And then if that's the case, it'd be running up there. Speaking of that, now I remember what I wanted to show with this. Figured it would come back to me at some point. Speaking of sneaky stuff. Where's this at? Oh, yeah, the sneaky. Like, is this where it came down here? 1, 0.2, 0.3. Back testing. Maybe it comes down. I don't know if it comes all the way. That's why I put that there. But if it's back testing and it holds in here and then it reverses. But it's all going to depend on coal. But that looks like a big reversal setting up. You know, that looks like a, and it's just the amount of time it's been doing this. Like you're talking about this whole thing on the drop started in 2014. It ended up dropping out by 2017, 82%. It ended up bottoming out at 93% down in October. Created a V, bounced off it, came back down. It's like the whole time. And yeah, it would have been nice down here if I even was paying attention. That's 2020. That was during the whole blah blah blah. But now you're looking for a resurgence. So I don't know. I really don't know when it's going to happen, but it looks like some kind of bottoming phase is starting to happen. So I'm gonna pay attention to that, and then I'll just keep it up there, and then we'll just at times reference it, you know, for a little bit. We'll just reference it. So that's what I see with Ethereum. That's what I've seen with Bitcoin. You know, trying to figure out this rising wedge. And again, a lot of noise here, so you know, I wanna get rid of some of this noise, honestly, because it can get a little messy. There's certain things we have to keep. There's certain parts from when the pattern started that I like to keep because we can reference them the whole way. But you know, sometimes it just gets messy because we do it in the micro a lot. So then we have little dots that make no sense when you look at it in the weekly, and then it's like, well, I can clean it up in the weekly to get back in the, you know, smaller. But it's also easier to see. And the reason why this is important, if we get out of here, we could still be in an inverse setting. Like this has not broken down at all. That's the awesome part here. Like we haven't broke this pattern at all. Oh, and yesterday, I don't know, because I did my live later last night, and this is a different audience. I was taking my son to his, with Julie, and my mom was there too, grandma. We took him to his orientation, and it's interesting for him because he's special needs, but he's doing it in a regular classroom with help through an IEP, and then he's got, you know, a side class he can go in. But he's like laying the groundwork for how this is going to be in the school because it's like their first year trying to incorporate it. But anyhow, what the hell? Somebody who watches my show, this is the second time it's happened. What the I hate how it does that. I need to stop those notifications from TikTok. But the second person that's come up to me in Clawson's like, I know who you are. But this person said it differently. They're like, XRP's doing pretty good. It's somebody about my age, I would say, maybe a little bit older. And they're like, XRP's doing pretty good. And they're like, I know who you are. You're XRP Future Million. And I'm like, and they're like, I didn't know you were really like this close in Clawson. It's like, yeah, as it turns out, our kids are going to the same school. So it's I'm gonna have to wear a disguise walking around town, I've realized. You know? I'm a very modest person. That's the second time it happened. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to start wearing a disguise in my own town. Throw people off and shave my head and shave my goatee. They wouldn't know who the hell I am. Come on here and I'd have a wig on, so you'd think I still have the goatee and stuff. Oh, let's see. Joseph Euler, thank you for the $20 donation and being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Says, you are the man, Tom. Thank you for your hard work. God bless you and your family. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Gray Paw says, see ya, Tom. Have to take my mom to dialysis. Your mom will be in our prayers. We pray to our Almighty Father for the guidance for you and your mother. You're a good son. You're a good son. Keep her comfortable and do the best you can to keep her spirits high, my friend. That's admirable. I have a lot of respect for that kind of character. Keep us updated, my friend. I'm blessed that you're able to spend a little bit of time with us this morning. And give your mom our love. It's a good person right there. Burn everything. Trump was just talking about fossil fuels being huge. Laugh. Was he really? Ha! That's funny. I think, I'm telling you, I think this is an untapped, the sector's been going down for a long time. You know, I've been doing a lot of, I mean, when I say a lot of research, I do a lot of research on things outside of crypto, as you know. And that's how we got into these miners so big. And it's like, even on red days, you start looking at this and it's like, it's red, but it's not really red. And it's like, I did take a flyer with Silver Corp, you know. They pay a lower dividend right now, but they're another one that's coming into it. Not, like I said, I have very recently when I took that flyer. So like, some people are like, Tom, I don't know if I should buy it. It's like, if you want me to be very honest with you with Silver Corp, I think my average price is like $4.49. So if you think it's anywhere, and I started off with the smaller, you know, piling in. So my goal was to have 1,000 shares of it. And I think I bought, let's see. And I want to just give you like the philosophy of what I do with these positions. And there's another one that we've been watching, and it's, where the hell is it at? Oh, it's on my phone. I'll get into it in a sec. But, you know, a lot of these share the same philosophies. And I always, if you watch me, I always dip in to the precious metal side at some point for a few minutes, because I try to get, it's not that I'm trying to recruit you to precious metals or, you know, to commodities or just these tokens in particular. It's just ones that I've come across, miners that I've come across. And this would be the one that, out of all of them, yeah, on my list, this would be the one that I have the least amount of, you know, not belief in, but as far as, you know, where they're at right now and what they're trying to get to, they would be the least accomplished, in my opinion. Out of all of the list, they'd be one on the more over or undervalued side. That's not the debate. The debate is, you know, it's more that they haven't achieved what they're supposed to yet, and they're still they're having the come up right now. So, and it's 540 shares I have so far, but I want 1,000, so it's all going to depend on what it does from here. So I have no problem buying it a little bit higher if it breaks out. But, you know, it's only been in the last few weeks that it was on these, behind the trajectory, and I built up what I wanted in some of the other ones. So it's like, well, why did you just start buying now and not where you're buying with some of the other ones? Well, you only have so much money to go around, and I like to put in so much a month. So like, I have $2,500 a month that if I can have in liquid capital, I try to invest in the miners when they're in the right spot. So I've had a little bit of capital. I haven't been investing in anything. I think the last one I did was upping Hecla. But I try to do these because I firmly believe silver is going to have a unprecedented run up. And we're in the midst of it right now. So that's why I go heavier into the silver miners than the gold miners. You know, so this is just one that this month's well, it wasn't this month, but in the last, let's say 6 weeks, $2,500 that was accumulated for this purpose. I felt like it was a good time to do it when I did it. And I feel like there could be a slightly better time, but it would depend on silver having a correction to 34. And I'm not sure it's going to do that again. Because if we break out past 39.55, I mean, holy freaking molies. Because once we get past there, we already have a technical run-up from this long-term cup that was building from the handle itself. Not even the cup, folks. Just the handle has a target itself. The handle of the cup has its own short-term target that has to be achieved before the longer cup target can be achieved. And that's at $55. Like, where are these silver companies going to be if it's at 55? Like, silver's legitimately been in a cup and handle. And I'll continue to talk about it because I've had these charts for a long time. I just don't reference them all the time. And you'll see about 20% of the audience is going to leave during this. It's already went from 124 to 110 since I started talking the commodities and precious metals and silver and gold. But I think it's important, especially in an hour setting. This cup's been going on since January of 1980. You know, that's 45 years. It took, just to complete the cup, 1980 to 2011. It took 31 years to complete the cup. It takes, before it actually came down here and defined the actual handle, because it didn't start technically up here. The handle made this definition here by getting rejected, made this little holding point, and then it came down. This is where the handle is being formed, and this technically started in 2012. Now it's taken all the way until another 13 years for this handle to show a possibility of breaking out because it's above the handle setup. Now, if that's true and it plays true, we're looking at $55.64. If that's true, though, you have a higher target of $93.61 that's been building for 45 years. Like I say, it's not about time in market, it's about timing the market. So the timing has been building into silver, especially for our generation. And I've been preaching this since I started on YouTube. We need to start buying in. And we had a chance at one time in the community at 16, 17 when it came down in 22. I'm like, guys, for the love of God, that's when I started the silver stacking series. And somewhere, or not, maybe not there, but I started talking about it deeply about the gold silver ratio and all this other stuff. And now we're sitting here and it's at 38 and we're storing it in there at 16, 17, 18, 20, 22. It's like you start watching it and you're like, oh man. You just start, and I started, the first purchase I ever made of silver was back here in 2020. I believe it was. Either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember. I think it was during the blah 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 when I did great on a trade with, well, Guinness. It all started with Guinness. And then I learned a lot of stuff through trading in the stock market, commodities. Learned a shitload in miners because I went bankrupt in a junior miner that I thought was a good one because I'm an idiot. I knew all the great ones like B2. Listen, this is where it was a good lesson in 2020. Old Vincenzo went through it as well. I had, I think, $1,000, $1,500 in it. I had money in B2 Gold and some of the other ones that were fine, and we went through a bear market, and then we ended up getting our money back, and now you see how much we've made now. But the problem was we had one junior miner called Great Panther Mining, GPL. And it had all this promise. Oh, it looked great. The books were doing, they had all these things that were going good. You know what happened? A structural collapse, and then they didn't have enough money to dig themselves out. There was a horrible thing that happened. The whole integrity of the mine went to shit. And because they were a junior miner and didn't have the setup and the capital to back them, it took one big calamity and it spiraled, and then something else happened. And I think they faced some big fines and structural shutdowns and all this other stuff. And it just collapsed. And now it's worth like, I don't know, 0, 0, 0. It hasn't technically shut down, but it ain't worth shit. So yeah, that's what can happen when you go through a junior miner and you don't have a history of dividends and so when you don't have a dividend payer, you really have to pay attention to their history. And that's why Fortuna, even though they don't pay a dividend, it's my exception to the rule. Every other one, even Silvercorp, pays a dividend. Silvercorp, Hecla, First Majestic, Pan America, B2 Gold, Barrett. Even if they're small dividends, they still pay them. So I usually won't buy something that's not a dividend payer. Because dividend is giving back equity to the shareholders, and it also proves a level of profitability to where they can actually pay us now for believing in the company. It might be pennies. I might make $20 a year off it. The point is they have enough of a book to where they can actually pay a dividend. So, and they have a proven history once you can get the dividend point, you know, so. Anyhow, that's just that sector. And sometimes I spiral into it because I really like that sector. I really like that Alliance resource too. That, for the coal side of things, it's just what's been happening lately and the bad view that has been given for this. When you're talking about an opportunity that it's just, I don't know if it comes completely unglued before it reverses. Because it's still put in a relatively good gain over the last 5 years. But look at that, to me looks like it's on an inverse path, like an inverse head and shoulders that's set up. Nice V-shaped recovery. And it looks like it's just back testing this recovery. I'm just looking to see that 19 out wants to react if it comes down. Or if some crazy reversal happens. Or if somebody adds something into the chat. So I like to show stuff like that. Let's see. Absolutely, Scotty, 100%. I do as well. That's why I like to look at all the different markets. That's why I have Bloomberg on in the background, but I have to put it to mute for. I made one mistake. I had the volume up when I was setting this up, and they started talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, some stupid wedding or whatever. They got engaged or some garbage, and then they talk about how, oh, now Travis Kelce's been tapped for this new position at blah blah blah, and he's gonna be the promoter. It's like, doesn't everybody see the biggest game in town is they just put all these losers together, and then they make your kids watch them, and then you all fall victim to all this BS because it's a certain monotone. Then your kids start doing what they're hearing. It's not a good thing. Nobody's immune from it, not even my household. It happens everywhere. And now with the kids with their own technology, and it's like, oh, don't buy your kids stuff. Oh, you have to. And if you don't, the school will just give it to them. So they're going to get the technology. You either stay with the times or you get left behind. So you got to throw away the new or the old age thinking of put the screen away. No. Take the screen out because that's your future. If you don't understand the screen, you are screwed in the next generation. So don't put your kids behind just because you have this, hey, we're not going to look at the screen. I'm sorry, but that's not the chapter we're in anymore. So we're looking at a screen right now, aren't we? So that's the point. My son knows more than I did at his age because he literally will go through these educational things and just watch them. And because he's special needs and he's like a systems person where he wants to learn how everything is, he'll watch a video of a light switch being put up and down as the person explains it, as it shows him the wiring, as it shows him where it goes from one to the next. Or he'll look at a controller, or look at a phone, or look at anything he looks at. And it's like, he's learning more than I could ever teach him because he's looking at the right things. It's like, we didn't have this. So if we capitalize in the right way, but there's one downside to this, and I know some of you understand, time doesn't stand still anymore. Like when you're outside, when you're doing things, when time literally, it feels like it's taking forever in a day for a day to go by. And now with technology, it's like, you get to the end of the day, you're like, holy shit, between the stocks and the trading and the investing and the work and the taking the kids to school and doing this, X, Y, and Z, and doing our workout and doing our whatever. Before you know it, you're already laying down and saying, well, what the hell? How are we at the end of August? Wait a minute, are we already going back into Christmas? Wait a minute, I was just stressed out about my son's GI appointment and going to a school orientation, and that's already passed us? Like, what the hell is going on? You know, it's like all this stuff, it goes so quick, and then it's like we get nervous about what's happening, what's coming up, but the truth is, when these things happen, we outplay it in our mind. So it's like, I feel so weird because it's like, I remember when I started here and I'm like, yeah, I just turned, you know, I think I had just turned in 2021. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, because I'll have 5 birthdays since I started. So this would be so I was 37. I just turned 37 when I started in December. So 3 months before that. And now it's like, I'm about to be 42. So you're talking, that's how quick time went. And we're doing this every single day. It's amazing. It's amazing. But the cool thing is we're living like nobody else now, so we can live like nobody else later. Like Dave Ramsey says famously, you do the hard work now. So he says you live like nobody else now. You get on a budget. You pay off your house. You live debt-free. You save up. You invest in mutual funds, your IRA, things like that. I like the emerging market mutual funds because I understand what's going to happen. Like, that's what I understand most. And I go with companies like Vanguard and Fidelity that I know have been there for a long time, and they have a proven 10-year, 20-year, 30-year track record. I like the track record, low managing fees, which I don't pay them to manage it. I have a self-directed, but still you have to pay. They're still moving stuff around. So, and the one is in the semiconductors. That's one of their holdings, and one of the emerging market ones. One of their holdings is a semiconductor, and you know. So I'm a big fan of those because of what's going forward. But anyhow, there's a lot of things that we can build now, and we're doing things that nobody else wants to do now. Like nobody else wants to come on here every single day, even the influencers. When it's red, green, everything in between. You know, some are, you know, there's reasons to not be here. And, you know, I've had all these reasons and more, but you start to build a trajectory and it's like, this is what I have to do and this is what you have to do. And now we're doing it now so that later we can sit back and be like, okay, well, because of what we did then. And that's how I feel right now with gold, silver, bullion. That's how I feel with the mining stocks. And that's also how I feel to an extent with crypto now. because of everything we've done. I don't have to do anything. Like, basically, if I didn't make another move right now and just let everything play out for the next 10 years, I would be fine. The only thing I have to do is every year is add $7,000 to my IRA, because you get a write-off in the USA, $7,000. It's backloaded, so you write it off until, you retire or when you start taking it out. But you don't have to take it all out at one time. You take out what you need, and then you pay taxes as you take it out. But you get to write off $7,000 a year. So if I made 50, now I only made 43. So that's why you should be doing that. Let's see. Cowabunga said, learning all that stuff is hard, but it's something I feel is important. And I was only self-aware once I started watching your videos. Oh, I love it. That's true. Well, I mean, Scotty, you mean the 3 most bearish targets in the short term that can create the most bullish outcome. But I understand those ones at the 250 to 243. I'm just saying, I understand how the fib and everything sets up. I'm just saying from a pure pattern standpoint, I'm very nervous if it falls below 280. It makes me really nervous because I know the potential downside fall is we're going to have to correct that entire inverse head and shoulders we've seen. So, yeah, I understand your settings, but I believe it could be worse than that. I understand those are the bounce points, and we would damn well hope it doesn't go lower than 243 for obvious reasons, because then that would solidify that move to $1.90, whatever, 2. But I have uncertainty if we break down out of this pattern in the micro. Macro, I have zero uncertainty. Now that can be flipped, and I can be like, I really thought we were going to go up to here, but we invalidated the cup and handle, everybody, and there's just nothing we can do about that. But until that happens, the cup and handle remains valid. But that doesn't mean, and the reason why I'm like, how can this set up like this? And it's because that handle, we've never actually back tested the top part of the handle. If we look at it, and we're honest with ourselves, we never really, if you look at it from the top perspective, that's how you could get down there. And it's like, is there a setting that could lead us there? There is, but I would like to believe that setup is more bullish than bearish. So that's why I say I think 280, as long as we hold that, would be okay. But yeah, if we fall out, I don't think there's any way to avoid that 250 to 243 area. I agree with that, 100%. I just don't know if it's going to be an area that can hold. I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. But it kind of expands this pattern in a really chaotic way if that were to happen. So I'm just trying to pay attention to every possibility here. So what I try to do is I try to feed it into the audience for days and days and days. And they're like, well, I've seen this and I've seen that and I've seen this way and that way. What the hell is the point? And then when you start to see it unfold, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I remember when he talked about this. It broke this. Now it's over here. Now it broke this level. Now we're kind of, oh, boy. Or it broke out past here. I remember that 314. We've held it. Now I know we're going to have a nice little micro move here that could fill out this macro push, but it starts within this micro framework. That's where I feel like we're at right now. Our micro time frame now is looking at it from July to August. That's it. How do we play out from the beginning of July through mid-September? And do we have to consolidate this whole way? And does it stay within? And then we have this catastrophic either breakdown or unbelievably glorious push up. And nobody knows. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. All I know is I'll know by what it does in this next setup. And some that say, oh, technical analysis doesn't matter if there's all those different things that can happen. Oh, but it does. Because now you have the framework. It's like if I give you something to put together, it doesn't make sense when you first look at it. But if you take it step by step, and then you start to back engineer it, and then start to re-engineer it by putting it together, you're back engineering it by the instructions you're reading, in a sense. You can even go from the end so you can see what it turns out, and then you can see how it gets there. But you're going to re-engineer it by putting it together. So this is your instruction manual. We're going to see how it gets put back together in the micro to build the macro. Now, does that mean we need more short-term support? Well, if it breaks down, it very well does. Or does it mean we have enough of a base to where once we push out past here, it's just going to light a fire? That's what we're trying to wait to see. volume right now is going to have to pick up. The daily volume today is not great. I would have liked to have seen more volume. We've been kind of stuck. Does that mean it can't pick up? No. It just means as of right now, the first half of this, or 2/3 of this candle, has been a little underwhelming, let's call it. We had a reversal here. So far, we haven't taken advantage of it, but it's still early. It's only the AM. We've got until 8 p.m. There's still almost 9 hours. So it could just be a case of we're building into it. And based on Bitcoin, it's holding strong. Ethereum, still within the same setup, but it has made a new high. No downward pressure at all. So, you know, at this point, we're not looking horrible. So just remember everything I said. I'm going to go spend some time with my son. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you're interested in I think it's going to be the evolution of a program like I do, especially for crypto. But we're going to have the call-in feature before you know it. And you're going to have to go through the Telegram to get vetted, because I can't take the chance of just like any other radio program. They have a number, you get vetted. So you're going to get that number through the Telegram, because I don't want it to, there's only so many people that can call in, and there's no special treatment. I'm going to take the question that I want to take. Or actually, it's going to be probably first come, first serve, if I'm being honest. The first question, and then we're just going to have them saved. And then if it's your chance, you'll have the ability to call the number, and then I will talk to you live on air. And then we're going to go through it. If you've ever seen any call-in show, we're going to go through it. It's not going to be a set 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And you're not going to just ask about XRP. It's going to be, this is what we're dealing with. And it's going to evolve into eventually what I want is, Tom, this is what's going on. I understand this and that, or XRP, and I want the audience to be a part of it. I just want to be more personable, and I want this to turn into something. I have a vision. I just had to get to a big enough following, and now that we're getting close to 46,000, we've actually achieved the first step of my 3-part setup in YouTube. It's just taken 4.5 years. The second step is this, and then the third step, you know, I can't even talk about yet because we haven't got to the second step. So be blessed, everybody. Just know that I'm continuing to try to